Emergency Funding for Small Business and Nonprofit Agencies Task Force come to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott,
Present.
Commissioner Marecki,
Here.
Commissioner Dobb,
Here.
Commissioner Baydoun,
Here, safely at home.
Commissioner Anderson, Co-Chair Varga,
He'll be here shortly. Here.
Co-Chair Haydes.
Present.
We have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item.
Approval of the March 30.
Commissioner Haddis, you want to take over?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Haddis, do you want to do this today or?
No, go ahead. No problem. You're doing fine.
Okay. Don't want to step on your toes.
I move to approve the March meeting. I lost the date here. Okay. Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Unfinished business, there is one item listed, continued discussion on small business loans for businesses impacted by COVID-19.
Okay, I will let Mark and Khalil take over. Commissioner Chair Bell, do you want to chime in before we start that discussion?
No, we can go straight into remarks from Khalil and Mark.
You want me to
Okay,
start,
sounds
Khalil?
good.
Please, Mark.
Sure.
All right, we had
Sure,
a
Mark.
meeting yesterday. There was a meeting yesterday. Included was myself, Alicia, Khalil, Mary, Terrence, and we're talking about the original contract and modifications to it that we might request from TCF in order to basically be more expansive and inclusive in the types of businesses. So can everybody hear me? It says my internet connection is unstable.
I can hear you.
Yes, we could hear you
Yes.
loud and clear.
So
Maybe we should all put ourselves on mute if we're not speaking. That might help.
I can mute all if you'd like.
Okay.
All right.
So, as a result of that meeting, what was sent to you yesterday was two things. One is a red line version of the arrangement with TCF, and you can see clearly with the red line what we were proposing, changes that we were proposing from the original arrangement that is now in place with TCF and the Economic Development Organization of Wayne County. And again, those were primarily to make it more expansive. Things like under section 2.1, I believe everybody's received it. I'll just go over the highlights of what we requested, and then I'm going to turn it over to Khalil so he can talk about the status of the arrangement with TCF. We wanted to include not only employee wages, rent, and banknotes and utilities. We wanted to cover all of the working capital needs of a small business and their operational needs. And under the original program, it was supposed to be a 12-month loan. We thought that it was important that if they're still getting on their feet and they needed more time, that at the discretion of TCF that we would allow more time rather than just defaulting on the loan. Those were the primary items. Basically, we wanted to say that there was no conflict of interest allowed, and that the county may audit the program. And those are basically the four major changes. We also sent you a two-page fiscal analysis, which highlights the major terms of the loan arrangement, or the terms of the arrangement with TCF, or the program, I should say. And these are basically the same that had been included in the prior one that had, under the arrangement that they have with the Economic Development Corporation. Employees less than 100, has less than 100 employees, less than $1 million or less than $1 million in revenue. The loan size would be $5,000 to $50,000. We are putting $2 million in, where we're asking TCF to also put in $2 million. I wanted to highlight also that if there's a loss, our money gets lost first, then TCF. The interest rate is 0 to 2%. And, there's potential by the county to lose some money. Again, we threw in a number in the fiscal analysis of, although there's really no hard evidence of what that might be, we threw in a number that it might be as much as $500,000. But we believe that it will help business if they could procure some of these loans. So with that, Khalil, you want to take over on the status of the discussions with TCF?
Sure. Thanks, Mark. And I think Mark did a good job of summarizing some of the changes in the agreement. Just a few things that I would add to some of the changes. Number one, expanding what some of the uses for the money might be. Everybody should know that the intentions of the parties between TCF and the CDE, at least in our discussions, was never to limit the use of the funds only under those sets of circumstances. And the reason why I think that's important is because it would require us to list every single set of circumstance under our agreement, and that's certainly not the intention, right? Business is fluid. Loans are determined based on a lot of different factors. When you see, for instance, the CARES Act from the federal stimulus package, it says, the money can be used on, mortgage, rent, utilities, payroll. Those are not the only things the money can be used on, right? But these are certain examples of what funds can be used on. And I think we were trying to take the exact kind of same tone with TCF. And so, it's not intended to be an exhaustive list where nothing under that list can be funded. But I have no problem making the suggestions to TCF to say, if this agreement includes these kinds of things, just for some clarity, do you have an issue with that? I don't see an issue with that, but I wanted to make that kind of clear. The second thing is, the ability to reevaluate at the sole discretion of TCF. In our discussions with negotiating this with TCF, it was always the parties' intentions to get back together to monitor the success of the program 6 to 12 months in, so that we can have that discussion. And so, again, if we put in a provision that says at the sole discretion of TCF, whether that provision is in there or not, the reality is the practicality of the program operates exactly in the same way. I think 6 to 8 months from now, we're going to sit down with TCF, look at the loans, kind of just measure where the program is heading, who might be in default, who might not be, where those loans are coming from, and does it make sense for us to extend this out or not? And so whether that's in the contract or not, there may be some legal issue for TCF. I don't know, but we had no issue putting that in the agreement and sending it off to TCF just to see what they say. The auditing, I see a lot of value in making sure that the county gets some sort of auditing of the program, because we always like data. We always want to be able to see, how programs are progressing, and we want to be able to learn from anything that we could be doing better. I can see TCF having an issue with that one, only because a lot of this is a lot of work for TCF as it is. And so having an additional sort of at the whim of the county to be able to audit the program at any point in time may be an issue for them. I want to make it very clear, I have not received any negative feedback from TCF. We're still waiting. They just got the agreement yesterday afternoon. I'm hoping to have a call with them today. In our initial discussions with them, the simple conversation was, the county commission is very interested in taking this program countywide. As you know, it only covers 64% of the program. The county commission has talked about floating a number of $2 million. If they were to do that, would you be willing to put an additional $2 million and have the money and the program go countywide, continue under the basic same terms and conditions of the original program? The money that the county would put up would be at risk first, as Mark mentioned, and all the reporting requirements that may be included. And they said, we're happy to look at the agreement. We're excited. The numbers are going great. I got an update last night, and I'm trying to remember. My updates are on my phone, and I don't want to lose the connection. But it's something around 100, we've had over 350 inquiries. Again, not including the internet traffic. It's only the call-ins as of right now. I think 193 are eligible under our program, which, indicates there are some businesses outside the low-income census tracts that are not qualified because they're not in the low-income census tracts. Of the 193, 40 loans I think something over 40 loans have been completed, and I think approved, and I think 2 loans have already been fully funded. Again, we are in day 3, day 4 of this program, and right now there are 2 businesses in Wayne County who have checks and a new lifeline to keeping their business open. Today is April 1st, and that's important because rent is usually due on the 1st, and so for some small businesses, for at least 2, that check today came really very much in handy. So we think this program is going to be successful. We're already starting to see a demand for it. And our hope is that our teams can keep working later this afternoon. We have some legal questions about the best mechanics about how to go about doing this. I think James Heath, Cheryl, and Felicia have spoken to that. I've certainly spoken to Mark about that. We think that there is at least a couple different legal avenues to achieve the ultimate goal. And so, things are moving very, very fast. I would ask that, everybody kind of give us to this afternoon to have sort of a finalized agreement together and a path and a mechanism. And I'm hoping we can get that ready for whenever the commission wants.
Madam Chair. Hello.
Mr. Anderson?
Thank you.
Mr. Anderson?
Thank you. I just wanted to ask either to Khalil or to Mark. I see on the fiscal statement here that TCF has agreed to contribute the $2 million in addition to the county's $2 million. But I don't see it was it in the language that we received in the what we're passing, or is that just going to be added in?
I can answer that. Commissioner, if you look, we sent the agreement, the actual agreement,
Right.
a red line version of the agreement.
If
you look at section 1.1, it talks about it.
I don't have that in front of me. I'm sorry. I don't have that in front of me.
Okay, I'll read it to you. The county hereby agrees to deposit $2 million with TCF for the initial creation of the fund. The fund and all monies deposited into same shall be held and maintained by TCF in an account under the name Wayne County Microloan Program, subject to the disbursements therefrom to fund loans herein called the fund. After the first $2 million is lent, TCF agrees to contribute $2 million to the fund for additional loans under the program.
Okay, great, thanks. The other thing, the only other question I think I have is that where the first program was limited to the census tract, low-income census tract areas, I didn't see anything when I looked at the contract or the proposal that it takes care of the other areas that are not in the low-income census tract, or that basically does not allow someone to double dip, basically.
Well, if I let me try to take a crack at that, and then Mark or anybody can help out. The origination of the first money has to be used in the low-income census tracts, as we all know. But county money and county general fund dollars are contributed by all areas, even the low-income areas. And so, I don't think there's any appetite, and I don't even think it's, I'd have a lot of questions around its legality of the county general fund dollars being spent in 36% of the county that's not covered under the CDE program. And so, it's not a person themselves, right? I think one thing to keep in mind is there's not enough money in the world to help solve all the small business problems we have. But a person themselves, whether they're, they're not going to go back to the bank and get two loans, from within the same, bank branch. That's going to be very, very difficult to achieve. And if they could do that under, this agreement, they can do that under the current circumstances. But what it does do is it provides, the possibility of $4 million more county-wide. And so, that's the structure of the agreement that we have right now.
I guess I'd like to hear what Mark says, but I think there were several of us on the last call that we had that agreed that we didn't want to see, we wanted to see it be beneficial and help others that had not already been approved or going to be approved for the first program. It doesn't necessarily have to exclude maybe the census tract areas, but I think it defeats the purpose if we don't try to spread it out where it's across the county and that people are able to apply for it and others aren't getting two loans that the county is involved in.
I think we are actually saying the same thing. If low-income areas are not excluded, I think folks have to remember that the demand comes from where the demand comes. It is, TCF is certainly marketing the program. Our business development managers are absolutely marketing the program, but we don't say, the money has to go to this community or that community. We say it's only eligible right now in certain low-income census tracts because of the origination of the money. And so it's incumbent upon businesses to call and try to visit a branch to complete the loan process. So really this is about like a demand driven. And I think to your point, if low-income census tracts are, if there's nobody excluded from the program, I think the market will help to develop, where the things go.
And if I could chime in on that through the chair, under the first whereas under the arrangement, it says the county and TCF desire to create a loan fund for microloans to certain small businesses in Wayne County, Michigan. And then under the operating criteria, under the second bullet point, it says the business is in good standing with the county. So I don't see any exclusions on this for any businesses within Wayne County, as long as they meet the other criteria of being a small business with less than 100 employees and less than $1 million in revenue.
I guess I'll listen to what others have to say, but I know Commissioner Haydes and I both, I thought there were others on the other call that wanted to make sure that we didn't have a double dipping or layering of these loans from the county.
Because if I could clarify, and I had that thought too as well, Commissioner Anderson, but because TCF is administering it, I find it highly doubtful that they will administer two loans to the same company at one time. So that should alone prevent the double dipping. The applicant can either apply under one or the other circumstance, but I can't see TCF giving the same business two loans in each pot of money. They have all those internal controls to know what or where that business is located and which pot they qualify for, and not having them double dip into both pots. And I don't know if Mark or Felicia want to clarify anything.
I could see the bank try to give them a separate loan, but maybe not under this program if they see that they're really doing well in paying back this one as well. So that's not out of the realm of what the bank can do for a business aside from our program too. Commissioner Dobb also would like to chime in.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I didn't have anything to say on the issue that Commissioner Anderson was discussing, but I had a separate question regarding the audit issue. I think it is very important that we insist on the county being able to audit this program, since we are using taxpayer dollars to fund the loan program. And I would also like to find out if we can get monthly reporting on who has applied for loans, who has been approved for loans, and how much those loans were. Have they been making their payments, and who has defaulted on the loans? I think that would be just, that's pretty standard for, I think, for a financial institution to just issue monthly reports, and that this committee can get those and review them as we go on.
So, this is Khalil. I think our plan here is, I almost get at least a report, at least once a week is the plan for me to get how many loans have been applied for and dished out. Obviously, we're in a very different circumstance right now at the very beginning of the loan. There's obviously in our contract some reporting mechanism to the CDE board. And it's our hope that, we can share that report, with the commission. And so we absolutely plan on having some level of reporting somewhere. I think the difficulty with defining a lot of these issues is we just don't know what the future holds on the program. Obviously, folks are making suggestions on here that says, well, if in a year from now, we want to give businesses, a 6-month timeline, we ought to be in a position to be able to do that. Well, that's going to change a lot of the reporting requirements. And so it's certainly a fluid situation. And we try to put some parameters in the agreement that said, in concept, we need to have some reporting requirements. Don't exactly know what that needs to look like because, again, the world's going to change. And so we are constantly trying to walk a fine line here by, enjoying the fruits of a little bit of philanthropy right now, without, making it so cumbersome and so difficult to monitor and manage that an institution that has the benefits of being able to put checks in people's hands tomorrow walks away. And so we're just sort of managing all those kinds of expectations. I've got no problem making the asks. I've got no problem representing, what the commission's desire is. But just know I'm walking the best line that we can.
Well, Madam the Chair, I think the bank, when person apply for loan, they will ask for collateral. And most of the small businesses, they have their own property or homes, wherever they put. So I don't think they're gonna come back to the county for another loan when they already put what they have on the line for the first loan. So, and I think those things could be monitored by the bank, and I don't think the bank could approve 2 loans from the same sources for the same business. It's not what the program intended for. It's intended 1 loan per business to give them short assistance for short time, because it's not going to be the money. Eventually, it's not going to help them to survive for 1 or 2 years. It's something to keep things going and hope this situation would be resolved by controlling the virus and the life back to normal. So that's why I'm not really worried too much about people try to apply 2 times or 3 times, because the bank, it's not going to hand them the money freely. They have to fill up the application, they have to qualify. And on the other hand, we could ask the bank to limit 1 loan per business from Wayne County. We don't want to limit the federal or the state. They have their own set of rules. Anyway, the situation, it's getting worse and worse. Yesterday, I really commend Mayor Duggan in Detroit. He put $1.5 million as a grant, not loan, to the small business people. So we have to act, and we have to act fast.
So
Alicia? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Khalil, and then I'll have Felicia and Commissioner Bacon follow up.
yeah, so on the there's two things. One, Mayor Duggan and the $1.5 million in the grant program, absolutely want everybody on here to know that that was a Wayne County, City of Detroit application. And so, those grants that Commissioner Jesus just mentioned, those are available for Wayne County companies as well. And so I want everybody to know that outside the City of Detroit. And so please, if commissioners are spreading the word about that grant program, please let them know that it applies for outside of Wayne County. The double dipping that people kind of keep referring to, I think, it is worth just kind of understanding the practicality of how things go. If a business comes in and they need to get approved by a loan, obviously if they ask for 2 loans, they're not likely to get approved, as everybody's mentioned. But really what ends up happening is, these are micro loans between $5,000 and $50,000. If a business comes in and they don't qualify, or they need more than $50,000, what TCF does, okay, is they are the largest, and they're in the top 1% of SBA lenders in the country. And so what happens from a practicality standpoint, a person comes in or they're on the phone and they say, I want to apply for this program, and they do not meet the qualifications, or they need more than $50,000. So, the fear of double dipping. What TCF will do is say, okay, you don't apply for this program, but there is another program that we, as one of the nation's largest SBA lenders, qualified lenders, handle, you can qualify for that loan. So there really isn't, this sort of fear of double dipping.
Alicia?
So through the chair, this was to the point that Commissioner Dodd made. There is a provision in the agreement that requires TCF to provide monthly reporting related to the performance of the loan program. And that reporting will go to the county. So it'll likely be received by the administration, and I'm sure that they will share that with the commission. So that is a standard provision that's in the contract. It's section 3.7 in the contract. And with regards to the double dipping, I think everyone should be clear, though, we're talking about 2 different programs. We're talking about the program with the CDE, which is not the county. That's technically a separate legal entity. And then we're talking about this particular program with the county. So when you talk about double dipping, just be mindful of the fact that technically the CDE is not Wayne County, and that's not technically public funds like these funds are that we're referring to with this agreement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Bacon? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to address this issue of double dipping that everyone keeps talking about, and speaking from experience. One of the things that could be instituted by the bank is by drafting an affidavit whereby a business owner can sign that he is aware that he can only apply for 1 loan. But to Felicia's point, if they are 2 separate entities, how does that work, Khalil? Can someone apply for a loan from the CDE and the loan if they qualify for both loans? Technically, are we calling it double dipping if we do that? If they do that?
I think we got off on a little bit of a roller coaster and just started saying double dipping. If somebody qualifies for a loan, they qualify for a loan. We're not trying to prevent people from qualifying for more than 1 loan.
Okay.
I don't think that's a good policy. If somebody needs more than 1 loan for whatever reason, and they qualify,
yeah,
meaning that there is enough collateral or whatever the case is, there are multiple loans of different programs, that the state has, that the federal has, that the county has, that the SBA has. I don't know that that is the right sort of set of tone. From a pure philosophical standpoint, I don't think it is is good policy to send general fund dollars to one area of the county. Everybody pays into general fund dollars, and Felicia made the point that the CDE money is not taxpayers' money. So I just feel like it's very, very important just to keep things countywide.
Yeah, but to go back to the, Madam Chair, to go back to the, some
Sure.
of the money have a grant, and you cannot get 2 grant. The grant, it's limited 1 grant by business, whatever the amount from $1 to $10,000. So I don't think the bank gonna open the door and let people apply for 2 and 3 with the same collateral. That it's not gonna happen. So I really think the bank probably have the safety protection from those double dipper, if there any now at the present time. So I think what Khalil and Felicia are doing, and Mr. Abbo, they all do an excellent job on getting us the right information. And I think working with the bank to make sure we have some safety language with the bank and the customer to protect us from those who really want to abuse the system. So I'm not too much concerned about that at the present time. I'm so concerned about getting the help to the people who need it in timely manner.
Commissioner Dobb, after this, sorry.
Oh, thank you,
Go
Madam Chair.
ahead, Commissioner. No, I'm sorry, I cut off Commissioner Haddis. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Mrs. Dobb.
Oh, thank you. I have a different question, probably for Khalil. So when businesses are applying for these loans, for this loan, for the program we're talking about today, if they don't have a business credit score, will TCF be looking at their personal credit scores?
I will get you an answer on that.
Okay, and then one other question. Once they, if they are approved for the loan, do they have any obligation to prove how they are spending the money?
There is a provision in the I do believe that there is some level of obligation, and I'll get you some more definition around it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Haddis, do you have other?
if there are no other question, I like to move the loan issue to the full board on Thursday.
Support.
I would like to bring up one issue, whether this is totally legal, Felicia, or anyone, probably Felicia. Do we have any concerns?
So through the chair, I did have a brief conversation with Mr. Heath from Corp Counsel this morning. There is a legal question with regards to the use of public funds and whether loaning that to private businesses is appropriate and authorized under the law. So that's something that we're going to look at today and convene about hopefully later this afternoon and get an answer to by tomorrow morning.
I think this,
Okay,
Madam the Chair,
yes.
I think this issue use tax dollar for a private issue. It exists, but the problem is we're not under normal circumstances now, where we see the federal using funding to assist business and citizens, the state doing the same thing, and now the county, we not doing anything out of the normal practice in such a difficult time. But I appreciate Felicia bring this to our attention, but I really hope they would resolve that before tomorrow's meeting.
We'll get back to this subject in a second. Commissioner Maraki, you have an issue you want to talk about?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Could Felicia repeat what she said? It was breaking up and I couldn't hear exactly what she said.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Alicia?
No problem.
Through the chair. So I spoke to James Heath this morning of Corp Counsel. There is a legal question surrounding whether it is appropriate to use public funds to loan to private businesses, because there are restrictions under the law with regards to public dollars. So that's just something that Corp Counsel is looking into, that my office will look into this afternoon. We'll convene hopefully today and get everyone by tomorrow's meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I had a thought that if there is a problem like that, could we give the money to where the other pot of money is coming from and sort of go around the block that way, or would that be illegal as well?
Well, we
For
need
them
to,
then do it?
Madam the Chair, we need to wait till.
I'm just
as
looking
Felicia
ahead
mentioned-
just in case.
Yeah, and you know, I'm very sure when they meet today, they're gonna give us a clear opinion, and we base our vote tomorrow and the full board based on that.
Hello?
Okay. Martha.
Well, finally.
Commissioner Scott?
Yep, I had been trying to get in.
I didn't see your hand up.
Well, I don't know how to put my hand up, I guess. But anyway, I have not received, when Mr. Gabel was speaking, I have not received this information that he was talking about, the 2.1, and I guess that's all a part of. So I need to be sent that, and I'd like to know who the two fully funded companies that Mr. Khalil talked about.
I don't know. I will absolutely get you the names.
Okay. Can you tell me then where these 40 loans are that you said that have already been confirmed? What areas are they?
I just know from the low income census tracts. We don't have we get an update on the numbers. We haven't gotten on exactly where they're located just yet.
Okay.
But it's all low income area.
That's right.
Well, I want to know where in the low income area is it, because that's just what the loan is supposed to be about, the low income. And I know you guys are trying to get the whole county, but we do need to deal with the loan as it is. That's why I asked to serve on here, and I'm sorry I was not in on that first meeting.
Yeah, Ms. Scott, the proposal today would not affect the 3 million from the 3 million plus the 3 million from the bank for the low income area. That would not be affected or by any way. What we do in here today, put in another 2 million from the county, 2 million from the bank, non-restricted for all Wayne County. That would help to cover everybody, but does not affect the low income.
Okay, but I want to know what the low income are getting. I know you guys are concerned about your areas, but I'm concerned about mine too.
No, but this proposal for the whole county, not limited in one. No, it's not time to look for one.
The low income area will get $6 million, Commissioner Scott.
I want to know who in the low income area and where. You know, can I get the same information that you all have?
Yes,
I have
ma'am.
We
not
don't
received
have
it.
that information yet.
I did not get my notice on last week's Monday's meeting. I didn't realize that I was even a part of, since I didn't put that little hand up.
We are going to
Sorry.
try to get all the commissioners as much information as we can give you.
Well, I would hope that I
As
can
soon
get
as
this
you have it.
information that everyone else has, okay?
Fair enough.
We will make sure that you get a package of the minutes of last week, Monday's meeting, and
Well, I got the minutes, but it didn't give me any of the discussion. It just said there was discussion. And I didn't get
Okay.
that until this
I will
morning.
call you Commissioner, is it okay if I will call you after this meeting and we can discuss it to make sure that we can bring you up to speed, or I can have Khalil do it. Then we'll make sure that as soon as Khalil has any information, he will send it to all of us, including you.
Well, hopefully I can be included.
You
Madam
will
Chair.
be,
Madam
I
Chair.
promise.
Yes, you can call me, and I understand.
Okay.
I'm probably the only one in this area that has all of this low income, but I just want to make sure that these people have an opportunity.
That's right.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Anderson.
Commissioner Scott could also view it on our site. I mean, the committee meeting is there for anyone to see, and you can hear the discussion. She could hear the discussion too.
Okay, on what site?
On our commission site, there's a link there, or you can go on to, I believe it's listed, isn't it, Madam Chair? I know I found it by YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Okay, I'll go on YouTube then.
And just to clarify, Commissioner Scott, Francesca, the emails would have came from Francesca or Sherelle, and they were sent out on, I think it was Friday for the Monday meeting to everyone on the listed. So I know that's coming from a lot of different people.
I know, but my staff and I both looked to see, but it was not on our link.
Okay, so well, I'll
So
talk to.
I'm just asking, would you all send it to me again then?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, anyone else before I take the motion from Commissioner Baydoun?
No, Commissioner
Anyone else?
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Haddis made the motion.
Yeah.
Okay, now tell me the motion again.
Restate the motion.
The motion to
Restate the motion, please.
the motion to forward the issue of $2 million for small business, non-restricted $2 million to the small business in Wayne County.
I second that.
Contingent upon the legality.
So Madam Chair, just to clarify, if I may.
Yes.
So we're not.
Please do.
Okay, so the agreement that's before you has not been finalized or agreed to by TCF. So we're not forwarding that specific agreement. So what are we forwarding exactly to the full board?
The recommendation to approve the $2 million for a small business loan.
Contingent upon PCF.
Okay, also.
Go ahead, Felicia.
Also understanding that when you say the $2 million, I think that requires a budget adjustment that's not before you. So there will be actions and other items that will be required, though you can vote to just generally approve the concept and advise the full body that you want them to go in this direction. But the actual items are not before you to approve right now, if that makes sense.
we approven to forward that to the full board, and then the Way and Mean will meet today to make budget adjustment. It's my understanding.
Not going to meet,
There's a-
we're not going to be able to meet today because we don't have an agreement yet.
Also, Madam Chair, if I could speak, there was
Yes, Mark.
there was time that was needed to put notice in place about a meeting. I believe it was 18 hours, and we did not have that time. So when the Ways and Means will meet is still a work in process. We will determine that as soon as we can.
Then we could amend the motion to forward this to the full board for discussion.
But if there's not going to be a meeting,
Felicia, give us some guidance, please.
So, okay, so this item that's before you, the agreement, which is technically not before you, because I believe we're just having a discussion today. If the agreement is finalized, the chairwoman can put this item on for board if TCF agrees to it for tomorrow's meeting and if there are no legal concerns. So the chairwoman can put this item forward tomorrow, depending on if we can work things out this afternoon. So technically there is no vote required of this committee. If you want to take a ceremonial vote just to let the full body know that you're in support of the idea, you can do that. But the item itself can be put forward by Chairwoman Bell tomorrow on the full board agenda, assuming all the issues are resolved this afternoon.
Makes sense.
Okay, so what I hear Commissioner Haddis say is that he recommends that we give the $2 million for the business loan contingent
business
upon the small business loan. And if the chair is able to put it on tomorrow and everything is worked out, that we're in full support of it.
That's fine with me. Yes. I support that. Can you hear me?
We don't need a motion because we don't need a motion because it's really not in front of us. But I think everybody on this subcommittee agrees that we would like that to happen. So I hope that Khalil, between now and tomorrow at full board, that all this could be worked out. And the Madam Chair, if you can then put it on to immediate consideration, perhaps. I do have a question though. If we can't get this worked out, the other one should go as planned anyways.
The other one already in progress.
We voted on the other one
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah, the other one already in progress. The bank been receiving application.
Yes, so I don't want to put a damper on that one just because we couldn't work this out in time.
The other
That
one did require commission approval. So they move forward with
Yeah,
that. That's
right,
key, right.
right. I just don't, I guess I don't want any negative connotations, being discussed. Well, we can't control what anybody else is going to do. Alrighty. Commissioner Chairwoman Bell, do you have any last minute thoughts before we adjourn this meeting and have public comments?
Well, I just want to say, I believe there is a consensus that it would be of the greater interest of the entire small business community of Wayne County to initiate this initiative. So I look forward to Khalil and myself working out any difficulties and anything that we need to bring this on full board for tomorrow. So, and again, this will be monies to help all businesses in Wayne County, and this is coming from our general fund. So we will at some point need to do a Ways and Means meeting to do the budget adjustment, but this will put us in the right foot going forward to make sure that we get this initiative passed. So I look forward to having that on the agenda tomorrow.
Chair Bell, if I may,
Yes.
I may,
Yes.
as if you if everything go well, as Felicia mentioned, they're gonna discuss the legality, and you're gonna put that on the agenda tomorrow. Would be ceremonial vote for you today with this body, help assist you to base your decision on the support of the task force?
That would be helpful, I think, if everyone on the task force here is in agreement, and we just had either a roll call, or if everyone just state that they're in agreement, that could be helpful.
Well, let's do a regular roll call then on favor of moving this forward, hopefully tomorrow.
I move to that.
Madam Clerk? It's been moved by Commissioner Haddis and supported by Commissioner Baydoun to ceremonial show our support for this to pass tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow.
Okay.
Clerk, please call the roll to see who's in favor and not.
Commissioner Scott?
Commissioner Scott is abstaining until I get all the information that I have asked for. I was not at the meeting last week because I did not get the information.
Okay.
So I'm abstaining ceremoniously.
Commissioner Marecki?
Yes.
Commissioner Dobb?
Yes.
Commissioner Baydoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Co-Chair Varga?
Yes, yes.
Co-Chair Haddis?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. While we still have our chairwoman with us, can we go ahead and keep this committee going so that way we can monitor how the program is going?
That's not a problem. And we can get the reports, and reports can be forwarded to this task force.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, then next, any other items that, or any other thoughts on this before we move on to the next item? Everybody had their say? Okay. Next item, Madam Clerk.
New business?
Oh, Mark Abbo, you had your hand raised.
Oh, I just wanted to mention that we did have that meeting yesterday, and I mentioned certain personnel that were involved in it. And I just want to mention that list was not exhaustive. I think that speaking on behalf of staff, we understand how important this is. And I just wanted to acknowledge the participation and contributions by Pam Lane and her staff, and Felicia's staff as well. And Khalil had staff at the meeting yesterday as well. So it was a significant group effort, and all participated and all contributed, and I wanted to acknowledge that.
Madam Chair?
Great job, thank you. Yes,
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Marecki.
Hi, I had my hand
Yes.
up, but you probably didn't see it, but I wanted to thank everybody. I know how this is moving on such a fast track, and it's difficult when everybody's at home. It's more difficult to do all this. So I really appreciate every single person that was involved in this to move this along.
I see
Thank you.
now on the screen, Commissioner Baydoun, do you still have your hand up?
No, I took my hand down.
Okay, thank you.
I also like
just-
to thank you, Madam the Chair, and running the meeting, and thank Alicia Bell, the chairperson, and help us to move that fast on this issue, and thank all the task force commissioner. I think you guys doing fantastic job despite the issue here, and I'm really happy with the technology that helping us working from home. Thank you to all of you and the staff and the commissioners.
Well, Commissioner Haddis, you're the best co-chair I have ever had, so I'm very honored to serve with you.
Thank you. I'm honored to serve with you and Alicia Bell and all the commissioners. Really, we have a great team. I am really
We do.
comfortable with the team that represent the people in Wayne County.
I believe I put that on my Facebook page, that all 15 of us are very experienced and work well together. So I am very proud.
Madam
Next
Chair.
item, please. Yes,
Madam
Commissioner
Chair.
Baydun.
No, go ahead. I'll wait for the under other matters, I guess.
Okay, Commissioner Martha G. Scott.
I just want to thank Pam for calling me this morning, or I would not have known there was a meeting today.
Oh, thank
You
you,
were-
Pam.
you-
We will make sure that we'll call you from now on, so that way you won't
Yes,
miss
if
any
you
more,
don't see me, I'm not
meetings.
leaving the house. If you don't see me, call me. There must be
We
a problem.
definitely will.
Thank you.
Thank you, we will. Anyone else? I don't see any other hands up.
I want to say something.
Next. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, Madam Chair, what I'd like to say is this, and Chairwoman Bell can jump in on this. Now, yesterday, since we're on this committee for a task force, yesterday, the mayor of Detroit, Mayor Duggan, he made an announcement that the city signed a contract with Abbott Labs, allowing Detroit to become one of the first U.S. sites to receive such coronavirus kits that would return positive results in about 5 minutes. Just wanted to know, do we have any initiatives, Khalil, or anybody from the administration that can jump in on this? Anything from the county that we might be doing something similar, just from Wayne County's perspective?
That's a Tad Sturdivant, Kara Osterberry question. Tad Sturdivant, of course, is our Director of Homeland Security, and Kara Osterberry is our Public Health Director. So I have not heard anything from them on that front. I know Tad's been ordering equipment, PPEs for law enforcement throughout the 42 communities in Wayne County, but I haven't heard about the instant testing kit that the mayor of Detroit spoke about. So that's a question that I can ask to Carol or Tad and see where we are with that. Khalil, if you're on the phone, I don't know if you have any other information.
I all I can do is tell you that Tad and Carol, Sergio and Sanjay and Danielle are working 20 some hours a day with hospitals, Region 2, procurement, and everybody else to try, the state to try to get as much facility, as much supplies as possible. We recognize that the numbers are jumping really, really high in Wayne County. We also recognize that while there are things that are happening in Detroit, and I think we want to help and contribute to those things, Western Wayne County also has, a population that we also are starting to have to put up temporary facilities and such as well. And so we're constantly identifying locations and working with other agencies to get the supplies and the need that's necessary.
Madam Chair, to that point that Khalil just mentioned, so many people have been calling me, and we would like to discuss that in our meeting tomorrow. What are the plans to build temporary hospitals outside the city of Detroit, the outer county, to accommodate for the influx of new cases that are coming? That's something we'd like to discuss tomorrow, Khalil, if we can.
Yeah, and if I can, Madam Chair and all the commissioners, we've been in contact, particularly in Western Wayne County, with Beaumont Hospital. Their hospital in Lane and Dearborn are reaching near capacity. And in an effort to make room for more COVID patients, they're going to need temporary recovery centers. And some guidance has been given by the CDC to say that needs to look and feel somewhat like a hospital. And in our sort of looking around, there's the old Vera Hospital in Lincoln Park that we explored. It needs a couple $100,000 of repairs, and so it's not available at this time. But we are looking at hotels as a possibility. I think that's a much more attractive route for a hospital than, say, something like a field house, like the TCF Center or something like that. We looked at the Hyatt Regency, or the old Hyatt Regency, and the fire suppression system there is bad. And so we are in constant contact with, hotel operators to see if they are willing to work with us on providing a facility. Obviously, hotels right now do not have a lot of business, but they don't necessarily also want to take in recovery patients. And so if anybody knows of a hotel in one of their districts that is willing to help, we think we have enough rooms for frontline workers. What we do not have is enough rooms for recovery patients, non-COVID-19 patients that we need to move out of the hospital to make room in the hospitals for COVID-19 patients. So if anybody has a hotel operator that they know or have been in contact with, please let us know. And if you're getting, inquiries or suggestions from, your local office that can hold 30 people, that is not a situation that works well for the hospitals, because then it spreads out the resources too thin. Ideally, they need something in between your 30-40 person location and Kobo, something in between that looks like a hotel dormitory type of a situation. So to the extent,
Khalil, what about abandoned Kmart stores or big boxes?
Yeah, and so we have talked to the hospitals about possible current operating field houses because they don't need upgrades. And their response to us has been, if you can find us a hotel, we're much better off.
Khalil, I understand Beaumont dedicate the hospital in Wayne only for the coronavirus victims. And if that get to the full capacity, you have next to that the old community center, which run by Hype now, and
Yep.
it have great room where they play the basketball, and they have the banquet room. Those, it's easy to be divided and done in a fast way to meet the demand, and I hope we don't need it. But Romulus have an excellent, the health community center too. There are a lot of municipality have available room, doesn't need too much to be remodeled or be done to be able to transfer that to a medical facility. So maybe we should consider those.
So and I'm glad you said that. And I want to do, the CEO of Hype, I really want to thank him because he was very proactive in offering up their facilities. And there is no glory in offering up these facilities. They're not looking for financial gain at all. They're just literally out of the goodness of their hearts offering up some of these places. We sent over a list of double-digit facilities to Beaumont Hospital to see if any of these things would work. And on that list was the Hype Center. On that list was the Field House at Henry Ford College, the Field House at U of M Dearborn, facilities like that. And their concern with those kinds of facilities is that there may be sanitary concerns. They want something like a hotel that has individual rooms, individual beds, individual showers, laundry, sections, things to be able to serve folks, different cleaning supplies, and different, logistics for being able to sanitize things. And so,
but the TCF center, Khalil, doesn't qualify if we're going by these guidelines. Now I know TCF is probably not through Beaumont, but now we got to think outside the box. I think you're right on it. The best option for us, if that's what they want, the hospitals from sanitary standpoint would be hotels.
And what I'm saying is, it's not that these facilities are absolutely not going to possibly be used. It is as they start to reach capacity, they're looking for the sort of the safest opportunity to help patients recover. So we're taking our lead from the hospitals because they know what their need is best. And so if you all have these types of suggestions, please send them to me or send them to Anthony Cartwright. Anthony Cartwright, who is on here. He is our real estate director. He is managing the list of all the recommendations, and send us your field house suggestions. Don't leave those off, and we will work them up with the hospitals.
Thank you.
So, hi,
Commissioner
Madam Chair.
Scott?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Scott.
Yes.
Commissioner Scott.
No, I'm just listening.
Okay. Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Bell. I just want to give everybody a heads up that we may have to have a Ways and Means meeting tomorrow at 9:30 to move the money. So just know that you may see that notice in the next hour and a half or so, because we can approve the program. But I know everything's fluid right now. But I just was informed that it's possible that in order for this to take immediate effect, we can do it on paper, but if we don't move the funds, there won't be any funds to administer the program. So it's possible we may have to have Ways and Means to at least make a budget adjustment, and then we can move into full board and approve the language. So just to notice that you may see a Ways and Means notice for tomorrow at 9:30. I'm still working it out with Felicia and Pam and Mark to see the necessity of it. But if we have to, just as your heads up.
Martha Scott, have the agenda been sent out for the full board?
Yes.
When was it sent out?
The agenda for the full board was sent out yesterday at about 6:30, 7 o'clock.
Okay, because I went through and I didn't see it today, but I'll check again. All right. Thank you.
I just want to let everyone know about the possibility of a Ways and Means tomorrow.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I was just going to ask if someone could maybe just send everyone a text message or something, and as well as, it being done by email.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Great news. Okay, then next item, Pam.
New business?
There is none. Next item.
Such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
Anyone have any other matters? Next item.
Public comments?
Anyone in the public wishing to comment, just please go ahead and chime in and state your name before you speak. Anyone in the public wishing to comment? I'm going to ask one more time. Anyone who may be listening from the public wishing to comment?
I think Francesca needs to take everybody off of mute. I think everybody's on mute.
Okay, unmuting all. All are unmuted.
Okay. Okay. Anyone from the public who are listening wishing to comment? Anyone from the public who is listening wishing to comment? I hear none. Next item.
Adjournment.
So move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported that we adjourn for today. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
We're adjourned.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.